1, 2, check. All right. Okay, first of all, let me have your name and spell it.
Greg Krueger, that's Gregkrueger.
Craig or Greg?
Greg.
Greg.
Correct.
Okay.
Krieger.
Okay.
Very German.
All right. Greg, we're at the Lynchburg Museum. Tell me about it. Tell me what folks can find here that's interesting.
Well, the Lynchburg Museum has been recently renovated. 3.5 years ago, I guess, we renovated the entire building, and all new exhibits. It, of course, displays the history of the city of Lynchburg from a social standpoint, political standpoint, industrial standpoint, just about everything. Military as well rolled into one. Tonight we have a selection of baseball memorabilia on display, kind of a special display for First Friday, just trying to get a different crowd in the door, if you will, and selected a handful of artifacts that usually don't go out on display, just especially for tonight.
Okay, Lynchburg's known for a lot of things. What are some of the things that folks come here expecting to see, or what drew them to the city?
I think just a real sense of general history, first of all, but then you do get a lot of people were interested in decorative arts. For instance, Lynchburg had a lot of silversmiths back in the day, a very wealthy city, second wealthiest city after the Civil War, next to Bedford, Massachusetts, I believe, which was very wealthy due to their whaling fleet. But Lynchburg became very, very wealthy after the Civil War because of the tobacco. They were pretty well off prior to the Civil War. But in the latter half of the 1800s, really came into their own. And so, like I say, there's a lot of silversmiths here in town. A number of those examples are on display. I think people were also interested in, some of the more artisan pieces, the cabinet makers that we had here, for instance. People were interested in seeing some of those early works. Of course, the Civil War is big now in Virginia, and we do have a brand new Civil War display on display downstairs. And while it's not a very large display per se, is very specific to Lynchburg and has some very, very unique artifacts in there, and things that you probably won't see again on display in our lifetime.
There are many river towns. Before I came here, I lived in Bentonville and Front Royal, which is the Shenandoah River. Here we have the James River. What brought so much industry early on to Lynchburg?
Just the river itself, primarily, I would assume. Of course, Lynchburg started off as being kind of a natural ford, if you will. There was a ferry just behind me, actually. It was a rope ferry, started off as. But prior to that, the Native Americans used it as just a natural fording area. And so I think that really started it. But of course, with the James River came just the abundance of water. So you had early water power. You had abundance water for things like steam power. In addition, the rivers were the early highways of the day. So you had the canal here. Well, prior to that, obviously the river itself. But that was rather, you couldn't count on that in a dry summer. You're doing a lot of poling in a bateau, for instance, with the advent of the canal system, much more predictable navigation. And so Lynchburg really became kind of like an inner seaport, if you will, being connected to Richmond directly via the canal. And so that provided a lot of opportunity, especially, again, for tobacco to be, processed here and then moved downriver to, the rest of the world. Europeans loved Lynchburg tobacco or Virginia tobacco in general. Very unique soil combinations produced, unique tobacco flavors, essentially. But again, just that early, highway and source of power, I think, are the two big things.
Okay, and finally, what days, what hours? Are you seasonal, monthly? I mean, like all year round, same thing? For folks coming, when can they come in?
Well, we're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then Sundays we're open noon till 4 p.m., all year round. We also operate Point of Honor, which is actually just a stone throw across Blackwater Creek here, and that has the same hours all season long.
Okay, and this is the Lynchburg Museum. We are at 901 Court Street in Lynchburg, and hope you folks can come by. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let me make sure it works.
Nice LED light, by the way.
It's actually not.